own work that she'd done herself, paintings and poetry to go with it. And it's a recovery stuff. There's birthday cards and stuff like that there as well. And if anybody wasn't at the last seminars, there's free CDs there for the previous seminars, priced at £2. All the money goes to the drop-in centre that Lorraine and I run in the mountain. I'm just going to start. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in. Tonight's topic is thinking, the king of addiction. As most people in here will know, it's the thinking, the thoughts that make us and break us. Your thoughts, what are thoughts? I try to live a spiritual life every day, and I'm on my way to study spirituality. And for the past maybe 10 years I've been working on myself, because it was my thinking that destroyed me. It took me addiction, it took me a lot of dark places, mental institutions and rehabs and suicide. The thoughts that I learned were dysfunctional. It's a word I don't like using because it took me years and years to find out what it really meant. Dysfunction basically is faulty thinking, negative thinking, which I learned in my home. I always speak about children because you can see children are so innocent to the ways of the world. They run about in here without any clothes on, naked, and not have any fear of what people think about them. And I learned a lot from that. And when does the child lose the innocence? And when did we start to think the kind of thoughts that we have? So what are thoughts? I truly believe that I'm a spiritual person having a human experience, and I believe that we're energy. I've experienced that, and what I share in all my seminars and all my work is through experience. It's not taken through books or anybody else, it's through my experience. And through learning to meditate and quiet my mind, I learned that the thoughts are energy, and that we are energy. It's like, see what I once heard a guy speaking, it's like thoughts are like wee bubbles. And we've all experienced this at one time in our life. And it's like the dark thoughts, the negative thoughts. And if you're a negative person, all this negative energy is running about you. You notice that sometimes when you walk into a room and there's an atmosphere. In certain places I've been, you can feel that atmosphere when you get in, and that's the energy. You're really experiencing the energy that you're feeling. I've seen me get into some places and come out with a right sore head. Because of the dark energy, it's been in because of the fear and the negativity, anger, resentment. And if everybody's doing the same thing, and all that energy is causing an atmosphere. And basically if you look around the world and you'll see, and you can go way back to the wars. I looked at and all the different wars, and how one person could come up with an idea, and then everybody started thinking the same as this person. You can go way back to Germany, you can go back to Hitler, you can go way back to Attila, you can go way back to the Romans. You can get to this day and age where you experience a whole town or a whole city, and they're all caught up in this fear and this darkness and all that horrible energy that surrounds us. And that's what I pictured as the thinking. If you've been thinking that way since you were 6 or 7 years of age, if you've been brought up in a dysfunctional home and a dysfunctional environment, it's even worse. There are some people that I know who've been brought up with good values, ethics and morals and standards, and never had any problem with addiction, never had any violence in the home, but they turned out really dysfunctional. So the thoughts that we have in our head come from the childhood. It's an accumulation of all the thoughts that we've been hearing since we were children in the home, in our house, in our environment, in your work, school, everybody you befriend. So all these thoughts that we have are stored in here. Sometimes I've even seen myself going, where did that come from? What am I doing thinking that? Well, it just comes in with that thought. And you can get way back. Thousands of years ago, people were speaking what I'm speaking about just now. It's just that nobody teaches you. Nobody talks about the thinking being the addiction. It takes you into all sorts of other addictions. And we think it's normal to have these thoughts. As I said, the thoughts are energy. When you've got negative thoughts going on, you've opened that door to all the negative energy that's round about you. And probably some people in here have experienced my experience with two voices going on in your head at one time, maybe three voices going on in your head at one time. And we don't understand it. And we end up medicating on it, taking drugs, alcohol, anything just to take that pain away. Sometimes you get into people's houses and the television will be blaring, and that's to drown out that voice in the head, or the music's up full and listening to heavy music, and it's to kill that voice in the head. So it's the thinking. You look at your thoughts, sometimes you're very positive, sometimes you're feeling really good about yourself. Nobody says to you, you created that. You created that energy, that positive energy, through your choice of thoughts. If you believe, like I did, that I was just a human being and thinking was just thinking, I went through my life blaming everybody else for my own thoughts. I wasn't taking responsibility for it. I'd blamed my whole life, and I saw what the thinking had done to me, where it took me. And I believe most of the people that's turned out tonight have been in the same boat as myself. That's the reason you come along to find out why is thinking so damaging to us and why can it be so rewarding. In the spiritual world, they call it the ego. What is the ego? The ego is when you identify with your own thinking. That's the ego. When there's thoughts coming through your mind and you're identifying with it, like, I'm no good. Where did you get the evidence from? So that's the ego. This always happens to me. I'm a bad person. I've never got any luck. And you see, and also the ego is, I'm really good. I'm better than anybody else. And I'm better than him, and I'm better than her. And that's also the ego. And that's thinking, thoughts. We've also got the thoughts where we totally destroy our spirit. Self-condemnation, where you punish yourself severely. It's become a habit now, the way you're destroying yourself through these thoughts, causing depression, anxiety, fear, sometimes taking us to suicidal tendencies, where we end up wanting to take our own life, which I've tried on numerous occasions because of my thinking. Then you've got the shame and the guilt stemming from your childhood. Sometimes the thoughts can be so powerful that they overwhelm us, and that's when you end up really, like me and myself, insane, where I was locked up in 3 mental institutions because of my thinking. Psychologists, psychiatrists try their best, but unless they understand themselves, how can they understand me? Because I was getting told I was clinically mentally insane, and I wasn't able to get out of these places. And I stand here today because I learned to sort my thinking out. You look at the thinking when things are going their own way, we're really happy. Everything's gone rosy in the garden. And you're so grateful. Or are you so grateful? Because with gratitude, nothing can touch you. No ego, no darkness can come near you. Because with gratitude, it's that positive energy that you're creating round about you. Sometimes we fail to look at what we're grateful for. We don't think. It's usually when we see other people, we feel sorry for them. And we see people who are worse off than us. And feeling sorry for people, for me, just made me feel bad. I can empathise today, and that's what we try and teach other people, is to try and fit yourself into that world, that person's feelings and emotions, and into their shoes, and try and understand where they are, because you've obviously been there, because every human being has got feelings and emotions. Every human being, no matter where we come from in life, we just learn to deal with them in different ways, the way we've learned to deal with them. So when you're a child, and you're seeing this, listening to everything that's going on in your home, because that's the only way you can learn, is by listening and watching, and what you see and what you hear, you learn, it becomes normal, it becomes a habit. And the people that we befriend in our lives, you see, like attracts like, usually thinking the same as us. And that's where the collusion comes in, where we begin to collude with one another and just agree when we know we should be disagreeing. What about the thoughts? I sent a wee blog on my Facebook last night, asking people to watch their thinking before they go to their bed at night, because your morning can be the most damaging part of your day. If you don't set yourself up in the morning, your whole day can be ruined because of your thinking. And what you've took to bed with you at night, the way you've been thinking at night, is what you're going to wake up with in the morning, because you're taking that energy with you. That's why sometimes at night you can't get to sleep. There's thoughts racing on in our head, and nobody's ever told you you can stop that. Because like me, most people say, I can't. The famous Glasgow word. I can't stop that. I can't change. I can't do this. I can't do that. Now you're telling yourself that. And thinking is what makes us today. That's why I stand here today. 20 years ago, I never thought in a million years I'd be standing up here speaking to people. 5 years ago, I'd have been disappointed, upset and hurt with anything at all, because of my expectations I had, because I expected people to be like me, to think, act and behave like me, and I reacted in an angry, aggressive way when they didn't, because nobody had told me that was wrong to be thinking that way. As a child, when you're learning this and you're listening to this and you're growing up, one word, a parent, a sibling, a friend, member of family, aunt and uncle, can say one word, and that one word can stick with us for the rest of our lives. And unknown and unconsciously, that one word has destroyed your soul and your spirit. That you're no good. You're a waste of time, you're a waste of space, I wish I didn't have you. You are stupid. You are thick. And these wee words, teachers, anybody can say this one word and it can stay with you the rest of your life. Things that happen to us as children can also stick with us the rest of our lives. You may be even abused as a child. You were in an abusive relationship. You were hurting because of your expectation, how a mother and father should be, how a mother and father should be behaving. And this is the way we're thinking. But the biggest damage that was done, I recognised, is who I believed I was, through what I was telling myself through my own thinking, that I perceived who I was, that I was just a drug addict, alcoholic, no education, angry, lonely, ungrateful guy. And that's why I kept feeding my spirit with, my soul with. I chose the words because I didn't know any different. And every single thought that I have has got a consequence. And I'm totally aware today, every thought that I have, I've got a choice where to run with that thought. And you'll see the habits that we've got, how we force these habits, and how we truly believe in our mind that we are stupid, dumb, glaikit, thick, no good, because we have told us it. I perceived myself to be that type of person, a no good waste of space. I had no self-confidence, no self-worth, and no self-discipline in my life. Because again, nobody had told me or taught me how to do this. And the reason I do these talks and these seminars is to help people, give them an awareness and an understanding. And the main objectives of these whole seminars and this seminar is to help people become aware that it's our own thoughts that destroy us. Nothing else. We can't blame anybody anymore. We can't blame our past, because what we have is just now, this moment. And when your mind comes out of this moment and goes into the past and goes into the future, unless it's positive, you're going to hurt. We have no power over the past, and we have no power over the future, but your mind and your thinking will take you to that place, because you've opened the door, and that door's been lying open since you were 7 years of age, since you left the innocence of a child. And that door is left open to all the negativity and all the darkness, and it attracts it. The way you think, you're attracting more and more dark energy, and that's how the power inside you is drained and the spirit is dead. Because we just believe we're human beings, and thinking is just thinking. Because we've never been out our way to find out what our thoughts. Thoughts are positive and negative energy, and that we have a choice how to think. What about when you're in the house, how you think about your family? The family code of honour, the family that you love, you would do anything for. And then the next minute, you know, you're rolling about the ground or in the living room with your brother or your sister, that person you said you loved, and you would do anything for. Mummy and daddy not giving you what you wanted. How's your thinking round about that? Hatred, resentment, because you're getting grounded, kept in. Or like me, you're getting batterings and doings nearly every day, because my dad, God rest him, was very, very angry, resentful, and full of hatred, because my mother had left us. And I understand him now, and I did before he passed away. That was all he knew, and he was resentful because he had to bring up 7 children and stop his job and start taking care of us. And when I grew up and understood that, my thinking changed completely through love, awareness and understanding. When you're in a relationship, how's your thinking when you're in a relationship? This person that you love, you're engaged to, you're married to. Then the next minute, you know, you're feeling a bit of jealousy. Because when does a relationship start? I spoke about it on YouTube there. When you move in with a person, that's when the struggles begin. Because we built and created a picture in our minds how a relationship should be, how your partner should be, and this is all down to thinking. You're sitting feeding your spirit and gathering evidence and creating a picture and an image in your mind how this relationship should be. I'm going to settle down, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to have a couple of children, everything's going to be good, we'll get a car, we'll do this, we'll do that. Nobody ever told you that was a picture you created, and when that picture doesn't work out the way you've created it, you start getting hurt, frightened, scared and angry. Then what about the thinking about yourselves? Some people in here are in recovery, recovering from addiction problems, like myself. And I like that kind of thinking. Sometimes it can be worse when you're off of drinking drugs. 10 times worse than you were when you were using. And that's why a lot of people relapse, because nobody's told them how to change their thinking. Because in my belief, my experience, of working with people and being a hypocrite, teaching people to do things I hadn't taught myself, and I see that wrong in society today. We're teaching people cognitive behavioural therapy, and we haven't applied it to our own life. We're teaching people smart recovery, mindfulness. We haven't sorted our own minds out, and that's what I was doing. I was a hypocrite, and I had to come away from it and stop doing it, because it was damaging my spirit, and my body was committing all sorts of pain. Because the damage that we do to our own spirit through our thinking, it's got to commit somewhere, and the spirit is crying out and crying out and crying out, please don't do that. And then we sit and live in this world of I shouldn't have done that and I shouldn't have said that. And then the guilt and shame comes in, and the next minute you know you're trapped. You're trapped in a world that's became normal to you. Your thinking's became normal, it's habitual. And we fail to understand that we can stop this because we keep telling ourselves through the picture that we've created about ourselves and what we perceive ourselves to be, we can't do this. I mentioned in my last seminar, I am no different from anybody that's in this room. No different whatsoever. I was insane. I was clinically insane. I had a racing head. I couldn't stop it because nobody had taught me to stop it. I even went to counselling and psychology and psychiatry and read books and still couldn't stop it. I wanted everybody else to stop it for me. I didn't trust myself that I could stop it myself. And that's what this whole seminar is coming into learning about trust. What you can do is you can become aware of your own thinking and the ego. Because the ego will strip you down. The dark doesn't like the light. That's its job. The light and the dark are always fighting. And that's the kind of battle that we have in our mind. It's going on and on through our thoughts, through these learned patterns of thinking. And the ego's really good at what it does. Once you become aware of the ego, and become aware of your own thoughts, that's when you can change them. And believing that you're a spiritual person will stand you in good stead to do that. Because your body will show you that you're a spirit. Because the spirit shakes inside. And we've all experienced that trembling inside, that fear. And the spirit's trying to say to you, don't do that. Because what's going on in the body is came through the mind. And if your body is your tool, the spirit is letting you know. When you feel that queasiness in your stomach and you're shaking, it's because of your thinking. But what do? We just run with your thoughts. And we've been doing that since we were 7 or 8 years of age. And the thoughts have absolutely destroyed us. Then you go to the doctor, and the doctor will medicate you, prescribe medication. And that way you're not learning anything about your own thinking. You're not learning how to be responsible. But you can change your thoughts, the same as you change your mind, the same as you change your dress and your jacket and your trousers. You can change that. And nobody's ever taught us how to do it. Some people in here might practice meditation and then to quiet their mind, staring at the candles, looking at the flame, concentrating on that flame, listening to some music, quieting your mind. And you'll feel good. If you don't practice this regularly or on a daily basis, like I have to do, because the voice of temptation is always going to be there. It doesn't go away. It's always going to be there, because that's the dark's job. It's to destroy you. But the light and the power that lies within you has got more power than the dark. And that's why I stand here today. I looked at my thinking and I seen where it took me. It took me into resentment towards my family. It took me into resentment towards other people. Jealous of other people. Wanting what other people had. And believing in my mind, if I had what they had, then I would feel better. Really believing that. And get way back to school days, because we were brought up very poor. You're not known, you're unconsciously not known as a child what you're doing, and the people that I befriended were all, as I mentioned earlier, all thinking the same as me. So I was looking at other people and seeing the clothes that they had, and then more money than me, when I was only young. And I started stealing. And my granddaughter, Esther, she brought me up, she was like a saint, she was everything to me. And she brought me up with good standards. I'd already learned and saw and heard a lot of violence and stuff in the house. And it was like a dark fighting the light all the time. I seen me going and stealing. I seen me going and stealing snowdropping, as we call it in Glasgow, stealing other people's clothes off of washing lines, so that I could fit in and be liked. Because my mind was telling me I had to have the same as other people. I look at my thinking at school, and I kept telling myself I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that, I can't do this. And I started cheating. I started stealing other people's books and getting people to copy things for me. And then I learned a trade. And I'd done the exact same thing. I chucked a trade because my self-confidence I had none. Because I told myself I had none. When I came into recovery, I started to learn to read and write at 35 years of age, and I couldn't read and write. That lifted my confidence. For nearly 28 years, I told myself I couldn't read and write. Everything is down to your thinking. Nothing more, nothing less. Every single thought that we have has got a consequence. And I hope that you take that tonight and remember tonight that every single thought that we have will make you and break you. Nobody's ever told us to challenge yourself, to look at your thinking. And it's like a chain reaction. What you see and what you hear, mentioned in other seminars, it causes a chain reaction. If you see something good, or you hear something good, it's a good feeling you get. When you see something negative or bad, or you hear something negative and bad, it sets off that chain reaction and it hits you in the stomach. That horrible butterfly feeling, that's the spirit saying to you, your mind, you need to change that thought, that's going to be there the rest of the day. But we don't trust ourselves that we can challenge that thought and change that thought. Because we just go out of habit and running with that thought. And every bit of damage that happens to us starts with one thought. Just one thought. And we'll run with that thought. And that thought can get into a paragraph, can get into a page, and can get into a book. And if you take these thoughts to bed with you at night, you will wake up with that in the morning. If everybody in here has experienced that. That's why I always say people, prepare yourself at night before you go to bed and prepare yourself in the morning. If we don't trust ourselves that we can do this, then we'll stay where we are. That's fact. That is fact. We see us going to the doctors and we see us going to psychiatrists and counsellors and stuff like that to help us with our thinking, how we can't deal with relationships, how we can't deal with life, how we can't deal with other people. Has your thinking kept you in the house where you've isolated yourself? Has your thinking stopped you from growing? Has your thinking prevented you from opportunities where you could have learned? This is the kind of things we need to ask ourselves. What's my thinking done to me? And why am I here today? And you'll see, if you choose a thought, I'm going to go along and see and listen and see what I can take from this. Because it's about life experience. And everybody in this room has got the same experience as me and the same power that runs through me, runs through everybody in this room. But if you have mentioned earlier, if you really believe you're just a human being and you're not spirit, then you will find it difficult. Because the power of spirit is the power of positive energy. And believing and knowing that sets you free. I look at my thinking and the relationships I had with my family and friends and the way that I used to think and what it done to me. I look at my thinking in other relationships with partners, previous partners, where my thoughts, I can remember going out and following a couple of ex-partners of mine because my thinking told me that they were up to something and they weren't. In my head it told me that. I ended up losing every relationship I had through my fear. Because it's not really jealousy. They say you're jealous in a relationship. It's not jealousy, it's fear. You're not jealous that another person maybe dancing with your girlfriend or your wife, or vice versa. It's fear. And that person's going to take your partner from you. You walk in, for me speaking personally, you're in the scene a handsome looking guy, you're not asking your girlfriend. Years ago I used to go up and say, "Oh, where are you? You're gone, you're not dancing with her." Total fear. Then your partner's looking at you, and next minute you know she's got a jacket on and she's away home. Because of my fear. And as we all know, fear is just an expectation. How long have we allowed this fear to destroy us? How long? How long is it going to destroy you? for you're expecting bad things to happen. And you're telling yourself, I can't recover. And you're counting each day, instead of it being a blessing. And you're looking at it as, it's horrible, the way I used to think. Dreading getting up each day out of my bed, dreading having to get into company. I can remember getting into a group work setting one time and being asked to sit in a group. And the fear was unbelievable. The sweating, shaking, red face, embarrassed. Because of what? Nobody said anything to me. I was thinking it. Thinking that everybody was better than me. Telling myself I was no good. Because that's what I believed Gerry was no good. He was just a waste of space. And everybody was better than me. And you wonder why we end up caught up in addiction. And we've never recognised that our own thinking is the addiction. It's took you there because of what you believe. You look at families, as I mentioned earlier, how we shot about, and how we see our family, how we think about our own families to this day. Some of us might not even want to speak to our parents again, or brothers and sisters, because of what they've done in the past, because we won't let it go. We just won't let it go. The expectation that we have of the family. How dare they look at my life in the now, the present. Look at the state of my life. This is their fault. It's my mum's fault, it's my dad's fault, it's my brother's fault, it's my sister's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's part of evolution. It's part of life. We're put here to learn lessons. And tonight's lesson is, look at your thinking. And the main objective is this, is the awareness and the understanding that you can truly change your thoughts, which will change your life and change your whole perception of yourself. Change your thoughts, you'll change your life. That's fact. But how do you change it? How do we recognise, as I mentioned, you'll recognise it and you'll become aware of it. When you feel it, and that's your body, the spirit giving you the sign that you've let your thinking go. Try and catch it. What I do today is, I forgave everybody that I believed wronged me. Family, don't blame them anymore. I don't allow my family, people I believed wronged me, anybody that goes way back, I don't blame them anymore for how I feel. I can't blame the past for what's going on in my life in the present, and the here and now. What happened in my past is a lesson for me. I have no power over the past and I have no power over the future. I only have this moment, this present moment, and that is the most important thing in my life, is the now, and learning to live in the here and in the now. Because the past and the future destroyed me. That's where my mind took me. But living in the here and now, there is no pain. And I practice to live in this moment and be able to stand here and speak in the here and now. Because I can remember years ago, I could never in a million years believe that I could live in the moment. Never. And that was me maybe 10, 15 years off of drugs and alcohol. And I still had a raising head and I had all these qualifications. And that's why I know, at the end of the day, a true teacher is somebody who's applied to their own life and they're going to teach other people. That way they become an example. What I did for my son and other people that I know who knew me as an angry, aggressive, waste of space, thieving, lying. That's the kind of person I was. When people see me today, how did you get that? How did you change? Because I wanted it. I wanted to change more than anything. I was sick and tired of the pain. I was sick and tired of being in the institutions I was in. I was sick and tired of belittling myself. And I was doing this to myself. Nobody had ever told me, you don't have to do that. You can change. You can stop that. I didn't know how to stop it. Qualifications meant nothing to me. I'd never used any of it in my life. I used my experience of pain, the pain that I went through in my life, I share with other people to try and help them get identification, where they can release that pain and become masters of their own mind through being responsible for your own thoughts and looking at the addictive way that we think towards ourselves and other people, and how we see ourselves and other people. Where do we get the evidence that we're no good? Because you told yourself and other people have said it, and you believe in your own mind what you're telling yourself. You really believe it. I did. And I've been working with this field of addiction and mental health coming up 20 years now. And I've experienced it with nearly every single soul that I've worked with. Where do we get the evidence that we can't change? That we can gather all this other evidence that we're no good, and we can't recover, and we can't keep our recovery, we can't trust ourselves because we tell ourselves we can't, I can't. Why do we end up with mental health problems? Because of our thinking. Why do we end up depressed and suicidal? Because of our thinking. Because we're blaming. We're living in the past. Our thinking has took us into the past where we're now blaming our past for what's going on in the now. And we can't see a future. We can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I worked with people for 2-3 years on a weekly basis, and I could see maybe 2 to 4 people could understand what we were trying to teach and practiced it, and the other 2 wouldn't. Every single day you get up, it's a blessing. You look at some of the people that was no longer here in our lives, and I spoke earlier about being grateful, and you look at that thinking, because my last drug and my last drink was when I was in a rehab, and it took from my gran, who was God to me, when she passed away, and I get the phone call in the rehab. Now I know why I was in there at that certain time, because God in my understanding also knew that. As soon as I got that phone call, my first thought was, I can't live without my gran. My second thought was, I'm going to use and I'm going to commit suicide. That was my first 2 thoughts. Then I had what they call a spiritual awakening. And as I mentioned earlier in one of my seminars, spiritual awakening is when God stands in front of you, or an angel appears in front of you. The spirit is awakened to make you aware that you now have a choice. You can go and do what you've been thinking, or you can change and stay here. I felt a presence that I feel just now, because I'm in the now. And when I felt that presence, I hadn't experienced anything like it before in my entire life. And I couldn't tell anybody because of my pride and my ego. And when I left that rehab, I stayed there, went back and I stayed there. And I found the thing that I keep today, I've tried to keep for 20 years, is gratitude. Because when I left that rehab, my dad died suddenly on New Year's Day. Then my wee sister took her own life through schizophrenia. That was my first year in recovery. But the experience that I had in the rehab stood me in good stead, because I believed that they were there. And that set me free. It took me away from the depression I mentioned earlier. That was that spiritual awakening that awoke in my spirit to say that I can do this. And then when I left there, I was very, very positive, very grateful. I was prepared for my dad and my sister. I never shed a tear because I believed they were with me. And I felt them. And through meditation, I've experienced that, like a child. I do lots of voluntary work. I've been doing voluntary work since I came into recovery, and I do some voluntary work at a nursing home. And I learned so much in there. And I get in and watch some of the elderly, and I'll go and sit with them who haven't got any family and friends. and they'll get dementia. Some of them are really more into it than others. And they'll sit and talk to their imaginary friends, just like a child does, because that's the way they're thinking. Then they're sitting talking to me, but they're looking over my back and they can see something that I can't see. Because they went back to the innocence of a child. They have no worries, no fears, no resentment, no anger. Just like a child holding their dolls in their 80s and 90s. So innocent, laughing, carrying on. But they can see things like an innocent child can. When your child is maybe 4, 5, 6, they're sitting talking to their imaginary friend and they're playing and talking. Who is that they're talking to? We can't see because we're not innocent anymore, but they can see. And when you look in a pram and you see a newborn baby and you look into that child's eyes, you'll see the light shining, shining, because it's so innocent. And that's like everybody in this room. We are all innocent children. It's just the way we have learned to think has destroyed us and took us to dark, dark places. Sometimes you have to go to the dark to find the light. And sometimes the only way to find the light is when you're in the dark. Because the soul is crying out, please set me free. So how do you get free? You get free with choice. With becoming aware that your own thinking has destroyed your soul. And our tongue is destroying other people's. Because when we're unhappy, it's other people that get it. We take our unhappiness out on other people, and it's usually the people that's nearest and dearest to us, that we love, we say we love. And what is love? For me, it was when I was getting my own way, because I was selfish and self-centred. I wasn't aware of that. I thought I was a nice person because I was kind-hearted. But I was selfish, inconsiderate, didn't care about anybody else's feelings. Because of my thinking, because I was really, really unhappy with my life. I didn't know how to change. I couldn't stop the voice in my head. It was every single day I was dreading a day. I didn't want to get up in the mornings. I was dreading it because of my own thinking. Going into the past I mentioned earlier about my family and how it was their fault. Things that had happened, places I had been, situations I'd been in. Going back to the people and places and things and situations that I blamed for my thinking in my life. And when I learned to stop blaming and take responsibility for my own thinking and began to practice change, I found an inner peace. And we've all experienced that peace. When you look at the thoughts that come in, some of them, some people live in amazing conflict every single day, a hostile life where you're trapped. And we're totally punishing ourselves on a daily basis, and we think it's normal, it's okay to do that. Look at the fear we allow to control us in our lives because of our thinking. And we start worrying about when the money is running down, things aren't going right at work, you maybe lost your job. What do you start saying? What do we tell ourselves when this happens? What am I going to do now? Well, that's me, I'm in big trouble. I need to sell the house, I need to sell the car, I need to do this, I need to go stealing, I need to go and do all these things. I know people that's done that. Because human being never believed in the Spirit, never had that faith in the Spirit, never had that faith and trust in themselves, or a power greater than yourself. If I expected that power to do everything for me, because I'd heard other people saying this, and I even fell out with the God of my own understanding and cursed them upside down because of my thinking, because I expected better things in my life and in my recovery. And I had nobody else to blame. People, places, things and situations I dealt with. So the only one that was left was the God of my understanding, so he got it. That was the worst mistake I ever made, falling out with him. Because I'd listened to other people my whole life, and I was brought up with their God. the God of their understanding. And it's a completely different experience with the God I have today. The God I was raised with and brought up with was separate from me. With a God you pray to in the sky. The God I have today that I've experienced and felt, and His love and His healing is in me, through Him, with Him and in Him. And I'm never alone. And through changing my thoughts, I began to get healing. Through my Bell's palsy 7 times, spondylitis in my spine, burning on my stomach, and all the other things that happened to me. Because I'd learned the spiritual way, healing way, instead of the earthly way. You're going to my doctors and getting tablets and medication. Yes, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you'll have to take the tablets and the medication. But the body takes a long time to heal. The same as the mind. And this is something that most people never speak about. But it's my experience again. When you've been thinking the same way since you left the innocence as a child, and you come onto the spiritual path, because you know you're going to get healing, the body takes a bit of time to heal because it's been reacting the same way for maybe 20, 30 or 40 years, and it's the exact same with the mind. Sometimes you'll see your mind will be racing and your body won't be reacting, and sometimes you'll feel that queasiness in your stomach but your head will be clear. Now that's the healing process, because the Spirit and the universe, they saw you've now taken action and you're wanting to be healed and you want to get well. So they can intervene because you've opened your mind, and that's the only way they can come in. The same with death. When I lost friends before I came into recovery, I used to sit and cry like a big baby and drink and take drugs to kill the feelings. Because of the way I was thinking, my mind was telling me, I'll never see them again, I'll never see them again. And there was a terrible, terrible fear of death, because I didn't know what I knew today, and I hadn't experienced what I've experienced today. Having taken that fear away releases the spirit, because your spirit's kind of wrapped up in your soul like a sheath, like a flower. And the more work you start doing in yourself, the more spiritual work, the more positive attributes you're filling your spirit with, and the things that you start to do, finding new hobbies and new interests, the soul opens up and lets the spirit free, and opens up like a flower, a beautiful flower. It takes its time but to open, and bit by bit you'll see each day you're feeding your spirit with loving, caring thoughts of gratitude, seeing the good in yourself, starting to see the good in other people. You will then see and experience what I'm talking about. So please don't sit and do what I used to do, and sit and judge people who are speaking and listening to people and CDs and going on YouTube and listening to spiritual teachers and things like that. And I judged what they were saying because of my thinking, because I had never even tried what they were saying to me. But I judged them because that was not my experience. And I see that today. I can do it, I still do that today at times. I have to catch myself. And what I had done then was I had judged other people with my standards because I was in so much pain. And when we're in pain, we want that quick fix. But some people will go for Reiki, some people will pray, what I do. You go for the healing of the hands, you go for acupuncture, and it's a quick fix. You feel good when you come out. But see, if you want to renew your mind and change your whole mindset, and then go for the Reiki and the acupuncture and the healing of the stones, what a difference. What a difference you will then experience with the Reiki and all the other things that are about. Because it's the mind that destroys you, and it's the mind that will break you. And get back into the relationships, what I see is one of the major problems, especially in Scotland. We must be a country that's got the most divorce and separation for a small country of 7 or 8 million people, because of the picture that we created in this relationship and how a relationship should be, because what you fed yourself with and told yourself with. And when this relationship doesn't work out, people are taking their own lives because of the picture and the expectation you put on your partner because of your own thinking. And it destroyed you, and you lost all I lost all my relationships through my own thinking, through my own fear. Fell out with my family where nobody wanted to speak to me because I blamed them for what was going on in my life. I blamed them for my addiction. I blamed them for all the pain. I blamed them for not having an education. I blamed them for being stupid and not having any confidence or self-worth or self-esteem. But it was me, my thinking, the way I had learned to think. I don't blame anybody anymore. And that's how I found the freedom. Because I learned to take responsibility. This is my thoughts. This is my life. This is my journey. This is my path. And it's a spiritual path. And sometimes the lessons that we get on this path we don't like. And then as soon as we don't like it, we start to blame. And then when we start to blame, we've came away from being responsible and we're going to hurt. And I choose not to hurt today. I choose every day when I get up, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to be happy. Happiness is a decision that I make every day. My choice is to be happy. To learn to live in the now, in the moment. This moment is difficult. Change is difficult. Changing your whole thought process is difficult. Nobody said this path was going to be easy. Perseverance, trust, humility, willingness, an open mind will get you there. And that's the choice that we have. We can either start today, tomorrow. We'd have to start sometime. Because if we don't, we'll stay where we are, trapped in a life of total confusion, hurt and pain. And this is your journey. It's your path. Everybody in here has got an opportunity, as from tonight, to go away and look at your thinking. In the second part of this talk, seminar, I'll get you how to recognise it through feelings, through a willingness and a desire. Because surely the pain that we've suffered in our lives to this present day has been enough for us. However days, months, years you've got left in your life, you can make it the happiest, whatever you've got left. Make it joyful, peaceful. It's a choice. And all it is a thinking. But you'll see that all the things that we have to change, the thinking will probably be your most difficult. But I can guarantee you, if you practice it on a daily basis, every day, you'll become the master of it. That's a promise. Because words and thoughts can't hurt you anymore. People can't hurt you. Physically, yes. Emotionally, spiritually, it's impossible. But we allow it to happen because we blame other people for what's going on in our lives. We blame our past and things that have happened in our past for what's going on in the here and now because of our thinking. Remember, it starts with one thought, and that one thought will lead to another thought. And we have got to recognise that thought, stop it, challenge it, and master it. And you will find an inner peace beyond your wildest dreams. Before I finish this first part, and you take a break, have a wee look at the thoughts that really hurt you most in your life. For me, it was missing loved ones before I knew what I knew today. I couldn't get through my life without them. I even grieved over my drugs and my alcohol because sometimes I really needed it to take the pain away, and the pain was my thinking. My thinking was my addiction that took me into another addiction, and another addiction, and another addiction, and I kept running and running and running for Gerry because I didn't know any better. I didn't know that thoughts were energy. I didn't know that I was spirit and I was energy, full of love, full of compassion, and full of positive energy. And nobody taught me how to tap into that energy through meditation, through reading other books, through going on to YouTube, listening to audio CDs, listening to other people, trying to get a bit of humility into my life. And you'll see that Once you start to practice change, it becomes new. Out with the old and in with the new. And you will see each day, this doesn't take years. Each day you will be stronger and stronger and stronger. Stop creating pictures in your mind of how your partner should be behaving. Stop gathering evidence in your mind and telling yourself how bad a person you are and that you're no good. Because it's a lie. Everything negative that comes into your head's a lie. Everything. And that's what we do. We tell ourselves lies. That's what denial is. Didn't even know I was lying. Somebody used to say denial wasn't a river in Egypt. It's just a normal human experience that most of us go through in our life. Sometimes I can still be in denial. And after what I've learned and what I know, sometimes I go, crikey, I never knew that. I didn't know I was doing that. Telling myself lies. And the biggest lie is who we are. That was the biggest lie I ever told myself, that I was just a human being. The experiences that I've had about renewing my mind has been beyond my wildest dreams. Being able to be healed with specialists and consultants and stuff, other professionals were telling me, I'm sorry, you just have to live like that, Mr. Murphy. And I'm going, no, I'm not accepting that. I wouldn't accept it. And I prayed. And sometimes when you're praying and praying and praying, like the way I used to, I was expecting, as I said, the God of my understanding out with me to help me inside. And that's when I realised, after years and years and years of doing the wrong thing, which I had to do to bring me here today, that the God of my understanding works through me and He's in me. And that's when I got the healing, when I finally became aware of that, through meditation and through experiencing that power. And sometimes it's beyond your wildest dreams where it can take you, through meditation and quieting your mind. And as I said, I am no different from anybody else in this room. Anybody in this room can do it, if you want to do it, if you put your mind to it, and you're sick and tired of the pain that you've went through. Because the pain that we go through, as we all experienced in here, can be very, very severe. And you're conditioned to that pain, and you believe that pain is normal and it's okay to feel that pain. And really it's the pain I used to motivate myself to get where I am today. I used that pain, I used my fear, my anger to motivate me, because I was sick and tired of that pain, and sick and tired of the place that I was in my life, and why I was trapped in that way of life, and I couldn't come out of it, because everything was normal to me, everything was habitual. And I know today that anything can be achieved through the mind. Anything can be achieved. Learning to read and write. At 35, being able to stop abusing my body through drugs, chemicals, other things that I've done. Telling myself I could never get clean, never get sober. I could never read and write. Telling myself this. That some people tonight, before I finish, were telling me, I can't come tonight, Gerry, because of this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm going, that's okay, I truly understand that. Last night I was saying, I can't wait to come tonight. So you see how the mind can destroy that. And then later on, some of the close ones that are close to me will start feeling shame and guilt. And they'll probably be back on the phone tonight. I'm terribly sorry. That's what the mind does to us. That's what it used to do to me. Feeling I've let this person down. I need to do that. And becoming a chronic people pleaser. Wanting to please everybody. Because I didn't know how to love myself. Because my thoughts destroyed me and told me that was a waste of space. And I truly believed that every thought that I had, I believed it, and I believed it to be true. And I had no evidence whatsoever. So I'll finish this part, and then the second part we'll do some motivational, inspirational stuff, and try and teach in the last 40 minutes what I can, and help anybody that I can to try and challenge us and be aware of your addiction. So thank you very, very much for your patience, your tolerance, and for sitting back and listening. Thank you so much.
teas and coffees.